Hey everyone, what's going on? Today, on October 11th, the major news story in the mainstream media was of Donald Trump having lunch with Kanye West and also the former Cleveland Brown named Jim Brown. And if you've been following my channel, pretty much all summer I have been documenting all of these things in regards to Cleveland and the Cleveland Indians and multiple things and how they're synced up to even things such as Donald Trump. And a big deal with it was in gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. The Indians are cursed by the curse of Rocky Colavito that equals 624 in gematria, and he got traded to the Detroit Tigers that equals 624 in gematria. And this year on 624, the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Indians even played each other. Also in history, Grover Cleveland died on the date of 624, and that's also the day that modern Freemasonry was founded. And think about our nation being founded by, Freemasons. George Washington, the 33rd degree Freemason, and George Washington, look at his day with gematria, 187, just like Washington, D.C. Scottish Rite Freemasonry is called ancient accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry that equals 187, and it stems a lot back to the 187 chapters of the Torah. This code comes from Kabbalah, which is Jewish mysticism that has a belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And this story comes 17 weeks after Donald Trump's birthday, exactly 17 weeks. The reason that's important is because the 17th prime number is 59, and the story comes on a date numerology of 59. 10 plus 11 plus 20 plus 18 equals 59. And it's these two black guys that are going to meet with Donald Trump. Words such as Negro equal 59, slave, Rasta, AIDS, HIV supposedly came out in the Belgian Congo in the year 59. Belgian Congo equals 59. The Civil War supposedly came to an end on 5/9 in history, May 9th. That's why February, Black History Month, has the last day is normally the 59th day of the year. And, even Freemason has this connection to black people. Freemason 42. Look at the super N-word. 42. That's why Jackie Robinson wore the number 42. That's why we're told that Rosa Parks was 42 years old when she rode on the bus that equals 42. And Rodney King was born on 4/2. All throughout history, the same code over and over. That's why the New Testament starts off with the 42 generations leading up to Jesus Christ, and New Testament equals 42. And he was born in Bethlehem in Judea, that equals 142. And if you're out at 42, it equals 142, and much, much more, because, most likely Jesus was a black guy, had hair of wool and whatnot. So, the reason that I brought all of that up is because that big date with Cleveland that I was talking about was 624, and modern Freemasonry was founded on 624 in the year 1717. So now we're getting the story coded to these two black guys that are going to go meet Donald Trump in Washington, D.C., headquarters of Freemasonry, right? 1717, 17 weeks after Donald Trump's birthday and whatnot. And also, if you've been following my channel, I've been documenting all kinds of stuff in regards to Cleveland for the majority of the summer, just synced up to all that. So if you're new to what I'm talking about, check out some links in the description. You can learn to apply what I am talking about, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in this video better, or just watch some previous videos, and hopefully you'll start to catch on, talk about the same thing over and over, because it exists over and over in the mainstream media, these patterns and these numerical sequences. So, right away, these two guys, right? The obvious one is Jim Brown, who was a Cleveland Brown. And the reason that it sticks out so much to me right away is that, he played for the 1964 Cleveland Browns, which was the team that won the last sports championship for Cleveland up until LeBron King James won the NBA Finals on the real King James's birthday. Keep in mind, King James also a Scottish Rite Freemason, but the LeBron James wins the NBA Finals on the real King James's birthday, and just after LeBron James won that was in the election year. Donald Trump had his Republican National Convention in Cleveland. What was so interesting about all of that stuff that year was that Cleveland hadn't won a sports championship then in 51 years. And notice the gematria Kanye West equals 51, and so does MAGA hat, Make America Great Again hat. That also equals 51. Cleveland equals 51. LeBron James equals 51. Quicken Loans equal 51. Their slogan that year was Believe. Believe equals 51. Just before they made the big comeback, right? The LeBron wore the Undertaker shirt, and that was a big narrative about how Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker streak and whatnot, telling us that the Warriors were gonna get broke. Anyway, Undertaker was 51 years old that year. Then later on, LeBron James wore the Ultimate Warrior shirt after they won. WWE equals 51 in gematria. And then tons of other things. Later that year for Halloween, LeBron James was Jerome from the TV show called Lawrence for Halloween. And that show is all about Channel 51. And Martin Lawrence, of course, is 51 years old when they won the NBA Finals. Then after Trump won the election, the Cleveland Cavaliers and Donald Trump both visited the White House on November 10th, the day that leaves 51 days in the year. And that curse was not only 51 years, it was 51 years, 5 months, and 23 days. And in satanic gematria, Donald Trump equals 523. And then he goes on to have his national convention in Cleveland after, Cleveland wins the NBA Finals. And look at Kanye West. Kanye West's birthday just so happens to be 6/8. If you recall, this year the Cleveland Cavaliers got swept in the NBA Finals on the date of 6/8, right? They got swept by the Golden State Warriors on Kanye West's birthday this year. And, the word sweep equals 68. It was on the date of 6/8. The word basketball equals 68 gematria. No coincidence. That's also Donald John Trump equals 68. Donald John Trump, 68 in gematria. And that's also the 159th day of the year. Donald Trump, 159. What are the odds? Kanye West's birthday, 159th day of the year. On 6/8, Donald Trump's full name equals 68. Just Donald Trump equals 159. Jim Brown, let's look at Jim Brown here. Jim Brown's birthday, February 17th. That's the 48th day of the year. Look what Donald Trump also equals. 48, right? Donald, like the word wall, and the Mexican-American War came to an end in the year 48. Cleveland. Notice Cleveland also equals 48 in the reverse method. They haven't won a Major League World Series since the year 48 when they upset the Boston Braves. Donald Trump won the biggest election upset since the year 1948 when Harry S. Truman upset Thomas E. Dewey. Notice the gematria. Harry S. Truman equals 148. Figure out Donald J. Trump. It also equals 148 the other way. Also, Mike Pence became the 48th vice president. Remember too, just after Donald Trump won the election, we got the closest supermoon since the year 1948 as well. And during the World Series, there was the people holding up the Israel sign, right? And Israel declared its independence in 1948. Think about Donald Trump visiting the Western Wall right? Earlier, Donald Trump visited the Western Wall. Donald Trump also declared Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Think about all these connections to the year 48. Western Wall, the word wall equals 48. We're told that Donald Trump won the election on the anniversary of the Berlin Wall coming down. The Berlin Wall was constructed. Began on 13/8. Notice Donald Trump, 138 as well. You know, look at this MAGA hat, 138, 51. That's why we're getting this story with Kanye West and the MAGA hat. Because it syncs up to Donald Trump like no other. It also syncs up to Cleveland. Also, the word Freemason. I didn't put that in there, but the word Freemason, that also equals 48 in the reverse. And Kanye West also equals 48 in the reverse. So, super synced up to Donald Trump, Cleveland. Also, in regards to Cleveland here, Cleveland, if you look it up now, it just so happens to be the 51st largest city in the United States, even. What are the odds of that? Cleveland, the 51st largest city. And the coordinates are really interesting too. 41 degrees north, 81 degrees west. This just so happened, this story, October 11th, just so happened to come on the day that leaves 81 days in the year. And if you go from the day that Cleveland was founded to the day of this story, it was 81 days after the 222nd anniversary of Cleveland being founded. So, 81 days after Cleveland was founded, on the day that leaves 81 days in the year, Cleveland's located on, 81 degrees west. Also, the 41 degrees north is interesting because Kanye West is 41 years old, and in gematria, Jim Brown equals 41. And Kanye West's full name equals 179, which is the 41st prime number. And just MAGA, like Make America Great Again, that equals 13. And 13, the 13th prime number is 41. So just super synced up to Cleveland, really. Also, earlier this year, we had Kanye West's wife, Kim Kardashian, go and talk to Donald Trump about prison reform that equals 68, just like Donald John Trump and a bunch of other stuff. But notice that she went there 134 days before Kanye went there, and Make America Great Again equals 134. And also, with all the Hurricane Michael stuff going on, it reminds me a whole lot of Kanye West during Hurricane Katrina saying that George Bush didn't like black people and whatnot. So, just interesting. We get this major hurricane story that does more damage than Hurricane Katrina supposedly. I think that's what it said. And, you know, now we're getting a story about Kanye West at the White House. It's interesting for a lot of reasons. And while making this blog post, I had what is called synchronicity that I document about all the time. I'm gonna skip over that, but you can check out my blog and come look at this. But just made me think of Hurricane Katrina, like a cat, in the beginning of this, and the Jacksonville shooter that was important earlier this year. His name was David Katz, and it was all about the War of 1812, which that was the year that, the war that Francis Scott Key wrote the national anthem. And Andrew Jackson is famous for winning the Battle of New Orleans, right? Think about that with Katrina and so on, So that was during the War of 1812. But I documented some stuff that I had previously said about Kanye West and the Houston Astros and the number 92 with that flood. So we'll skip over it just so I don't want to lose you completely. One other thing that I documented in regards to Donald Trump's Republican National Convention in Cleveland way back in 2016 was how it was synced up to Queen Elizabeth. And he came out to the song by Queen called We Are the Champions. And it just so happened to be 88 days after Queen Elizabeth's birthday. And in Gematria, Elizabeth equals 88, Trump equals 88. And if you have been following me since at least 2015, there's a major plot line with Kanye West when he sang the Queen song Bohemian Rhapsody when he performed in Glastonbury. I remember Dave Grohl fell off the stage and the Foo Fighters couldn't play, so they got Kanye West, and then he sang the Queen song. And there was all of this stuff that was going on with it. You know, even the Kanye West with Taylor Swift stuff, that went clear back to, what, 2009. But after Kanye sang the song at Glastonbury, later at the VMAs or whatever, Taylor Swift sang her song Bad Blood. I think about Freddie Mercury and the band Queen, they're all gay and had AIDS. They had bad blood. And Taylor Swift even went on to say that when she was a little girl, Kanye West was studying the craft because she's talking about Freemasonry, not talking about music. You know, think about Jay-Z, who's a known Freemason. Taylor Swift even won a bunch of awards, and they called her the Queen of the VMAs that year. You know, just all kinds of stuff. And this was all the same year that we had the Freddie Gray stuff that was synced up to uh, the Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not going to re-explain that, but with Freddy Krueger, and I talked about this, and I talked about how it's synced up to the gray coats within the Civil War because, and we also had 50 Shades of Grey, and then we had the Dr. McDreamy getting killed off of Grey's Anatomy all around the same time. And, you know, the Confederates wore different shades of gray uniforms because they couldn't afford to dye their uniforms. And then we get the story in Baltimore where the Civil War, the first death of the Civil War, happened with Freddie Gray. Freddie equals 51 and Gray equals 51. And Taylor Swift equals 51. And the same day of that VMAs that year, we got the death of Wes Craven, the guy who made the Freddy Krueger movies. And we also had these hurricanes and tropical storms called Fred and Erica. And they flooded South Carolina, right? One of them flooded South Carolina. And if you looked up Freddie Gray, he had a twin sister named Fred Erica and a sister named Carolina. What are the odds of that? There's a whole lot more that goes along with it, but I just wanted to bring it up that it's been this narrative that I've been following with Kanye West connected to the royal family, the Queen, and if you remember that Cleveland National Convention, it was synced up to Queen Elizabeth as well. Even in regards to Freddie Mercury, Mercury is the planet that has the 88-day orbital period. This is 88 days after, you know, Donald or the Queen's birthday, and her name equals 88. Trump equals 88. So lots of other things, you know. Taylor Swift also equals 168, just like Queen Elizabeth II. Beyonce Knowles equals 168, just like Queen Elizabeth II. And that happened on 13/9, and you know, Freemasonry equals 139. Kanye West's birthday is 139 days after the president becomes the president on January 20th. He even came out and did the same thing to Beck on Beck's Morning Phase album. Morning Phase equals 139. He sang at Glastonbury 139 days before the uh, Paris attack or whatever. And then supposedly they really pushed it, even though it wasn't true. But all of these conspiracy people on YouTube and whatnot were really pushing that Kanye had this clothing line that looked like ISIS, and he had a Pray for Paris shirt or whatever. And I think he did have a clothing line that looked like ISIS, but he didn't have that shirt. And he also had the song with Jay-Z, like Niggas in Paris, that came out on the 139th day of the year or something. It was all synced up, you know. So Kanye West is really important to a lot of this political stuff that goes on. In regards to him and Taylor Swift, too, Taylor Swift just recently came out in the media, you know, being political for the first time. And that was 66 days before her birthday. And her and Kanye West, their birthdays are 6 months and 6 days apart, even. So, and Taylor Swift and Reverse Gematria equals 66. So think about why we got a story 66 days before her birthday. It's because her name equals 66 in Gematria. So, guess I just wanted to show these connections to Cleveland. There's something important to Cleveland that has been going on all year. I don't know if we're going to get some big story in regards to Cleveland, but it's definitely a very important area that has been synced up to Donald Trump since, since before he was even selected to be the president and whatnot. Cleveland, really important. So, the election year we had the Cavaliers win, then we had the Indians lose, and it was all synced up to Donald Trump, the number 48 and whatnot. So, we'll leave it there. It's late. I really need to get some sleep, so have a good one. Peace.